week, when you snooze, you lose. You take a week off. I don't know where you were. You wouldn't tell me. You just took off and had to get a guy to fill in for you. I didn't know if you were going to show up today.
I know. I took 1 week off.
I'm going to be here at 1 o'clock.
Anyway, John, this is usually the part of the program where I do my political ranting because I've got stuff built up inside of me, and now I've got to hold it inside. But I'm willing to hold it inside this week because it's a very special show.
We have a lot of special guests, don't we? We've got our my replacement, Chris Burke. Oh, that's fine. Hi,Ris.
Hey, John. It's nice to have you in the studio with us.
Yeah, it's been fun being on the radio with you. Thanks,
really
Chris.
Glad you could come by.
Hey, why don't we get rid of Doug?
That's not a bad idea.
The John and Chris show. Sounds
there you go. I like
that.
I like it. No,
so who do we have in studio?
We've got a room full of people today, guys, and I'm really excited to be back because we talked about this last week, and we've talked about it in the past, but we have two of the members of the World Classic Rockers and their manager, Kevin White, who's been on the station before.
That's right.
And to let you know, the World Classic Rockers are just a fantastic compilation all-star rock band that I have worked with for, my God, I think it's almost 17 years now I've been working with them.
You started when you were 12.
I started when I was 12.
I got it.
And so, that would make me, 29? That works.
See what I did there?
That's good.
You're welcome.
I like having you in the studio. That's awesome. So I want to introduce their manager to begin with because we got a really, really good friend of mine. His name's Kevin White. He's the manager of the World Classic Rockers. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Awesome. So Kevin, let's just introduce real quick who do we have in the studio. We have Nick St. Nicolas, the leader of the World Classic Rockers and the bass player from Steppenwolf, and he's with us. And we also have Greg Walker. 9 years? I believe 9 years with Carlos.
I have no idea.
Carlos Santana.
It's got to be at least.
Don't ask any numbers.
Okay. We'll try to keep this as simple as possible. No math.
No question.
Okay.
He thinks he's mad.
Got it. So we're going to have some fun today. We're going to play some music from this compilation band. And so, Kevin, give us an idea who's in the World Classic Rockers and what's the band.
Wait a minute. Before who's in it, explain the concept to us because we're a little fuzzy on that. Then we'll get into who's in it.
So the band is, like Chris said, it's an all-star band that we put together 17 years ago now, when I was 11, and I called Chris when he was 12.
Nice.
And because I looked to my elders.
We had a play date.
Yeah. We had a play date, and we decided, I don't know, what else can we do? So anyway, it's a band that's composed of all-stars from some of the greatest classic rock acts that you'll remember from the radio and all the big hits, and we kind of put this together, or Nick did, and I met Nick 17 years ago when he was 13.
Nice.
And we had the idea of finding a different niche for this kind of an act. So they were playing all the type of songs that was baby boomer driven.
Oh, absolutely.
That was going to appeal to corporate audiences, and they didn't really know anything about corporate entertainment. I did. I said, look, Nick, I can bring you to, the biggest agency and the biggest agent in the business right now, and I think he'll sign you. And I called up Chris Burke.
Because the other guy was busy?
Well, Chris answered the phone.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, and then I said, hey, I got this great idea. And then Chris said,
whatever you do, run. Don't walk. Run away from this. It's too difficult. It's impossible. You do not want to be involved
And that
in
was
this band.
and that was about 16 years?
17 years.
17 years ago? 17
Yeah.
years of success, and you've never lived it down, I take it.
Yeah, it's become really my favorite project, and I represent a lot of acts, but it has become my favorite project that I've worked with for 17 years. The band has changed a little. Kevin's always been the manager, and Nick's always been the leader, and it's just been probably the most fun thing I get to do during my day.
Now, okay, so Kevin, how does it work on stage? I take it you get musicians from a bunch of different rock groups.
we do. So the current lineup, and we've had this lineup for a number of years now, it's been the best we've ever had over the 17-year period. It includes members from Steppenwolf, from Santana, of course, Boston, Journey, Lynard Skynard, etc. And
Right.
they all come together. And what the nice thing about it is it's a true all-star band. It's got a core band. Nick here plays the entire show, and we'll do a 2-hour show. And you've got Ainsley Dunbar from Journey, the original
Wow.
drummer from Journey, playing drums the whole show, and Michael Monarch from Steppenwolf. So some of the guys come on, Greg here from Santana comes on and he does 3-4 of the big Santana hits. Some of the other guys come on and do their big hits, and then some of the guys are really, we've got an all-star just about everywhere we go.
Wow.
And the couple side guys that we have are like fantastic musicians in their own
phenomenal
right.
musicians.
Yeah.
so that-
I mean, technically and just from a musician standpoint, it's unbelievable.
It's 2 hours of hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
I'm busy.
Doug's like looking off at his phone, not even doing anything. Doug,
Hey,
you want to
Doug,
be part
come
of
on
this?
in. Come on in,
man.
Jump in, Doug.
There's a chair here for you, Doug. Why don't you ask?
what are we
Doug's
doing?
going to ask the next intelligent question. Go for it, Doug.
It's time for a break.
Good job, Doug.
Oh,
Play
no.
some music.
nice. Let's play some music. All right, you're listening to Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John and the World Classic Rockers on AM 1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Gazette Radio Hour on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We have a very special show today with the world-class rockers.
Yeah, this is awesome. Now, Kevin, we have Kevin White, the manager, the head honcho. Who do we have in the studio? You gotta do some introductions here.
Well, two really great artists and even better friends. So, Greg Walker, former lead singer of Santana's here joining us, and then my compadre here for 17 years leading the band, Nicolas, the former bass player, Steppenwolf.
Wow. All right, so Nick, my question for you is, how did you start all this stuff? How did you get into rock and roll?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting us into your living room, car, wherever you may be. Thanks for listening and hanging
There
on.
you go.
And it's good to be here. The way we had started this whole thing was it was back in 1996 that I was invited to join some other members of other bands that were asked to do a kids-to-kids toy run in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And it went over so well, and there's 50,000 some odd hardly people at the event. And on my way back to Los Angeles, I thought of the idea of having members that have left bands that became famous. And so it's such a long story that I'm going to cut it off here and then tell you the rest in a minute. Thanks again for staying tuned.
Lots of technical difficulty. It's fun to have a lot of people in the studio. So, you started with Steppenwolf, right? Well, no, you
Yes,
started
I did.
before Steppenwolf.
Before Steppenwolf, I was
What was the
born.
first band?
The first band was the Ramblers with my brother, and then we worked into Embryorics and the Barbarians. And the next door were the Swinging Doors.
Let's go to the Minor Birds.
And some,
Wow. Okay.
and some lesser names.
Okay, lesser names. Okay, the important names are coming up right now.
There we go.
Rick James shows up with a sailor outfit, U.S. Navy.
The Rick James?
The
Rick
Rick
James.
James
Okay.
shows up, and he said that he would be the front man of a band called the Minor Birds, and we started playing, and Neil Young joined the band, and we were asked to do a show outside of town, like a Dick Clark after-school dance party, and Rick was instructed to have a minor bird on his finger that he didn't know he was going to be carrying a bird on his finger, and and then we were going to count down. It was 10, 9, 8, and so on. And when the cameraman was trained and told to keep his eye on the bird, no matter what happens, keep your eye on the bird. And he had headphones on, so it's the only thing he'd hear would be whatever was told to him through the studio, back in the studio. Well, anyways, what happens? The song starts, "Oh Minor Bird," which we all hated. There's a song. It's the most hated song of all time since the beginning of man. And we began. The music started, and the countdown started, and the bird started pecking at Rick's finger, and he flung it on the floor. And the bird did ask what he was told to do is to say, "Oh, hello, Ed Sullivan. Hello, Ed Sullivan." He kept saying, "Hello, Ed Sullivan," while he was on the floor, and Rick's looking at his pricked finger, and I was wondering, what the hell did I get involved with?
All right, Nick, speaking of Ed Sullivan, you were on the show.
Yes.
And what year was that, do you recall?
This was 1969.
Okay. Wow. Now, at the time, Ed was pretty big then, right? Because he had already had the Beatles on. So were you in awe going on there? Were you nervous? Was it a big deal?
It was like a big dream in Canada. You know, you're sitting there watching Elvis Presley, and they're telling him not to move his pelvis. And then they told Mick Jagger, you know, don't be telling people that you're going to get some girl pregnant.
Or no,
and they
spend the
told
night
Jim Morrison,
together.
hey, don't say you're going to be getting some girl hired, not on my show. And then we show up, and after we did 3 songs, Ed Sullivan would ask all of us to stand in front of the curtain, and we were all speechless. We didn't know. We weren't trained to talk. And John Case's favorite bands was Jimi Hendrix and The Who and the Rolling Stones and Beatles. And then they asked the drummer. He said The Who, Manfred Mann.
Yeah.
And then they asked the keyboard player, said Jimmy Smith and Jimmy McGriff. And meanwhile, they're mentioning all my songs. So I told them about the band we'd seen prior to the day that we did that show, and it was a little club in Greenwich Village, and we went in there and saw a band called the Fugs, and everything stopped. All 65 million viewers had to sit through the pause while Ed tried to reconfigure his questioning, and his first question was, "Oh, the frogs?" No, the Thugs. And he says, "Oh, the Thugs." No, and then Michael said, you know, F-U-G-S, you know, that's the Thugs.
The Thugs.
He says, "Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming up on the stage, and thank you for being part of the show." And they never did ask Michael Monarch what his favorite bands were.
All right. So I'm going to go Ed Sullivan on you. Who's your favorite band now? Who are your influences? Let's go back to that.
Well, you know, Jimi Hendrix and the Rolling Stones were always there, but before that was Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And my mother would always ask, "What are you doing listening to as a truck driver?" "Oh, you're listening to a truck driver.
truck driver.
The man drives a truck, and he says, singing truck driver, while you're listening to him." Really?
That says it all. Who's on your iPod now?
Everybody. I have a band from Cuba that's my most played group of
Cuban
artists
music.
from Cuba. I love Cuban music, and hopefully one day, I just want to go over there one day and just kind of check it out and see what it's all about.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Time for a break. I told
We're
you
going to
it
take
goes
us
by
out with
fast.
some Steppenwolf.
There we go. All right, you're listening to the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM 1220, and our special guests, the world classic rockers. I just stuck my tongue out at somebody. On AM 1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station. We'll be right back.